Welcome to Call the Nurse, life support for the stories that don't make it in the chart. Because not all wounds are visible and not all healing is clinical. I'm Mindie, a nurse, a mom and wife, and someone who's lived through pain, joy, and everything in between. Each week, I'll be sharing life experiences, not only from the front lines of nursing, but we'll dive into the raw and unfiltered moments of parenting and marriage, and also explore what it truly means to heal body, mind, and heart. So whether you're going through your own personal transformation or just need a place to feel understood, you've come to the right place. So take a deep breath. You're not alone. Let's talk about it. Let's call the nurse. Today's conversation is very close to my heart. I'm sitting here with my stepson, my bonus son, Adin and Tebby, and we are going to talk about growing up, navigating divorce, and what it's like watching your parents and your family change over time. It's not about perfection, it's about perspective. So I'm so grateful to have Adin. Thank you for agreeing to do this very vulnerable interview.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to talk about everything.
Anyway, I met you at 12 years old, this little kid who was not really a fan of another woman coming around. But over the years, our relationship's really grown, and we have a really special connection. And I just want you to know I'm representing today University of Colorado Boulder.
Let's go Buffs.
That's right. That's right. Graduating in May, right?
Exactly. Can't believe it.
I can't even believe it.
Can't believe
Again,
it.
when I met you, it was what, 8th grade? You were going into 8th grade, and now you're graduating from college and studying your MCAT. I can't even.
Yeah.
Does time fly as quick for you as it has us?
It's insane. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you guys just moved me in, all 4 parents, helping me move into the dorms, and feels like that was just yesterday, honestly.
That's so true. All of us.
Everybody.
Mom, dad, new
whole
spouses,
gang.
the whole gang
The
went
whole
to
gang.
Colorado and moved you in.
Yeah.
And for Emily too. And I look forward to having her on the podcast soon, but finals kind of got in the way of all of that. But I think it's going to be, her perspective, I'm sure as a girl, a little girl at the time or a teenager, is going to be different, I think for, a son with his dad. And you were very close to your mom when I came in the picture. So your perspective is going to be super unique. So I know that many people wonder what it's like being raised in the same household as Dr. and Tebby. That's what everybody else knows him. But what do you call him?
I mean, I call him Abba, which is father in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, that didn't really hit me that we were, from a different heritage and a different lineage, until I was around 8 years old, honestly. I just thought I was like everybody else.
Yeah. I wondered that. Did you go to school? I remember hearing it for the first time, and I remember telling your dad, why do they call you Abba? I mean, I knew what Abba was just because I have some, knowledge of Old Testament and things, but he was like, oh, it's what we,
I think
Jewish
when I was
culture.
8, he was like, I was like, oh, can I call you dad? And he's like, I mean, you can. And then it just didn't stick. And then I was like, okay, Abba.
Yeah, you still call him Abba.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard you call him dad.
No. Couldn't imagine it any other way.
I love that. Was he as intense as his, I guess, reputation as he was as a dad, as he is kind of a doctor, his reputation?
Yeah, I mean, I think growing up, definitely intense. I think in the way that he raised us, coming from an immigrant family, you come in with a set of expectations and traditions.
Right.
But I mean, I think as we've gotten older, my sister and I, it's definitely a totally different dynamic. I think we have a very mutualistic conversations with each other, and it's totally different from when we were growing up.
It's been really cool to watch your guys' relationship over time, going from this, young boy who you would be like, Adin. I mean, he still calls Enzo Adin sometimes, our dog.
He needs someone to yell at.
Someone to yell at every once in a while. And you and Emily are what, 18 months apart, right?
Exactly.
She's older, right?
Exactly.
And you were born in Florida, correct?
In Tampa, Florida.
That's where he was doing his, I think, residency.
Exactly.
Or fellowship, something like that.
Fellowship.
Yeah. As a kid, what did you most admire, about your dad? And has that changed as you've gotten older? Because you and Emily always talk about how he was intense, and maybe there was, he can be a little scary sometimes. Did you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's, a big guy, tall, like, not like other parents for sure. But I mean, I think like what I'm grateful for most is like the resiliency that he taught me. We used to do like a bunch of big camping trips and hikes. And I mean, we'd be doing stuff that like people have died on. And he's like, okay, like you guys are, even though you're 5 years old, like you're still going to be doing it,
Sounds like him.
So I'm very grateful for that. I mean, I go to school in Colorado now, so always doing big backpacking trips and camping. So he's the one that really taught me that I can do that, and I don't have things to be scared about.
Yeah, you seem very adventurous, like him, and always wanting to go try new things. Was he like that even like young age, always going places and always wanting to take you to to learn things? He doesn't. I mean, I'm married to him now, so I can probably say he's not the most emotional, warm, at times.
Yeah.
How was that as a kid?
You're saying in like emotionally?
Yeah, like warm, cuddly wasn't necessarily,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that emotional side of him didn't really reach until the divorce, honestly. I feel like before it was very like fluid in terms of, like unchanging, and it wasn't a very like emotional time because he was always in the hospital. But I think like the times that we did spend together, it was more about like skills and life lessons and, learning from his work ethic. I think he really instilled those values on me.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like an emotional sense, that didn't develop until I think after divorce.
Yeah.
When my sister and I were a little bit more mature to understand like what was really going on.
And having more conversations about some heavy things.
Totally.
Right? Because did you guys have deep or intense conversations prior to that? I mean, I know you were like 12, Emily was more like 14, but had you sat down and just had deep talks before?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad's not really like that. I mean, I think
he's still not like that.
As time went on, we have those conversations now, but I think before, like, it was, okay, let me provide for the family. Let me establish a foundation for the family. And then once that was set, we were able to have more like emotional conversations.
Yeah. What do you think is one lesson that he taught you without actually sitting down and teaching you?
Yeah.
What do you think is a big lesson that he's taught you?
I mean, I think I already said this, but work ethic, I think, he's built such an empire in a place that needed it. There in the Antelope Valley, there was nothing there in terms of medical care, and, establishing that in a place that needed it, I think is really awesome.
Yeah. Did you ever feel because of that? I mean, obviously you get that now, right? You understand it, but as a kid, you see the sacrifice now, but as a kid, you don't necessarily process it that way, right? You're just like, oh, dad's not coming to my soccer game. Did you experience that with him just kind of not being there as much, even though you appreciate it now?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate it now, but it was definitely hard not having him at some of the things growing up. But now I can look back and be like, okay, like he did all of these things. We have all of these nice things. A lot of my friends back at school, they're always like, how do you get your work ethic? Like, you're so like, on the nose with everything. And I'm like, honestly, my dad, like he's always instilled that on my sister and I, like getting a good education, making sure that you have your values straight before anything else.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Well, thank God for your mom, because without her, I mean, she brings the emotions and she brings the heart and the kindness, even though your dad are those things as well, but she really seems to bring that soft side, and you being much more in tune with people's, emotions, because dads aren't always that way. As you've gotten older, when you look back, was there, I mean, you touched on it earlier, but was there a season or a time when you kind of really did feel a shift of not necessarily seeing your dad as this parent, but really just kind of a person now? Was that during the divorce, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think, growing up, you want to see your parents as perfect and you want to idolize them in a certain way. But I think as we got older, we start to treat our parents more, just like people in general and like friends, and you can have, normal conversations with. They don't need to be like mentoring you all the time. But I think like one specific instance was when my dad took my sister and I like on a camping trip, and it was out in Lone Pine, Northern California. And before that, like I said, we always did like these big camping trips and fun activities. But that time was like, he sat us down, was like, hey, like, this is where I'm coming from. This is why the things were as they were growing up. And that's when my sister and I kind of felt differently about him in terms of emotions and being able to be vulnerable with each other.
So you don't see that that conversation necessarily as a negative? Did you see it more of, okay, he's talking to us as if we're, you know, we're just human to human here and helping you understand who he is as a person?
Yeah, I think he really wanted to treat us like adults at that point, and really relate to us on a more personal level than we have before.
Yeah.
Obviously some negative, maybe not so nice
maybe
things.
Some not so many details needed to be shared. How old were you guys at that time? I remember when that happened. How old were you?
14, 13,
I think you may
14.
have been 14, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a heavy conversation, but I think regardless, like it was an important establishment for our connection.
And you saw him in a different light, because at that point, I would guess that you hadn't even really had a super deep conversation.
No, no, not at all.
That's like when the veil has been lifted, right? When you start seeing your parents like, oh, wow, like they mess up too, or wow, they're not perfect. And then just to verbalize it is a whole other, I mean, I've had to really work on that with Haley, of not always being they say you move from, like a parent to like a coach to like a cheerleader, right? Like eventually you got to get off, you can get on the sidelines instead of kind of being, coach and inside. So I remember when that happened. Yeah, I remember him even feeling like I need to just talk to my kids about where I'm coming from. And from someone who doesn't talk about emotions, they also don't know the boundary of like, hey, you probably shouldn't share all of that.
Yeah. Like just because you're sharing everything doesn't mean that's
And I think that comes across, and people can feel like, oh, I can't believe he said this or said that. But we're dealing with somebody who's not used to having those conversations. They kind of, they're so proud of themselves for even having it. They don't know the boundary of like, okay, but they're still your kids. There's certain things that they don't know. But I agree. I when I look back, I think that probably was a big shift for you guys, and even Emily too, being able to at least now talk to him and come to him, with questions. What do you think, in that same regard, that parents sometimes forget how closely kids are watching them? Because even me with Haley, who is now 19, you met her when she was 9 years old, which is so crazy. Sometimes I just had a recent situation to where she saw me in a not so great spot. And it was the first time in 19 years that in this specific situation that happened. And I think we're closer because of it, but I forget that like she's watched me since she was young. I'm sure there's things that she remembers and I'm like, what? What do you think? Why do you think that is? Or what do you think parents, what would you say to parents that they're watching you? You're seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel that parents can be, so involved in what's going on in their lives that they forget that their kids are processing their emotions too. And
they're in the house, they're watching your daily living, what you're doing in your free time.
Whatever's going on, they're watching you. Yeah. They're watching you. So I would just say, don't think everything goes by. I don't know.
Yeah. I would tell your dad sometimes, I'm like, maybe they felt this. No, they're fine. I don't know. I think kids really are seeing and processing a lot more than what we give credit.
Yeah. I think we want to make sure that we're sturdy so that they can seem sturdy.
Right.
But even at 12 years old, like we process emotions too, definitely. And especially throughout high school with everything going on,
right,
with the divorce still going on, like it's important to just communicate with your kids and making sure that, everything's not on the table, but there's
lines of communication.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're hiding something from them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I think sometimes for me, I remember even first meeting you guys, and it's just kind of stressful being, kind of the new person coming in. But even with Haley not wanting to appear perfect or appear like I don't have issues or I don't have struggles, because the reality is you guys are living with us. You know that there's issues individually or even as a couple. And you can post on social media, you can do what you want, but we know, like, you guys know the real deal, and I don't ever want to put a portrayal of us, at least to my daughter for sure, and even you guys, of that this is all perfect. I think sometimes people, especially like with your dad, they just see him as a successful guy and look what all he has, but you've seen the good, bad, the ugly, you've watched what it goes into. And I think the kids really, it's hard for us not to want you guys to think all this is easy and that there's this nice, shiny, cover. It's like, this is the messy stuff. This is why I wanted to have this conversation, because I don't know of any kind of kids who have been through divorce or been through tough stuff with family, and then later, as they're older, talk about it. I mean, maybe it's out there somewhere, but to hear your perspective this far later, I think is really invaluable. And something that I really love is your relationship with my daughter. I mean, you were such a support to me, probably even more so than to her, because when she went off to her therapeutic boarding school, she didn't really have a lot of communication, but she could, she would call every week. She would call you.
Yeah, almost every day, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up riding horses, and her program was horse centered and horse therapeutic centered. So I mean, it was awesome for me to see her having the love that I have, her also having the love.
Yeah.
So she would always call me, "Hey, I have these 2 horses. I'm going to go feed them. I'm going to go take care of them. What should I do in this instance?"
Yeah.
So being able to relate to her on that level, I think really brought us together, even though we were living in different states at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I look back during that time, of her really going through, some mental health challenges. I mean, you guys went to the same school, so you saw kids going through stuff. And I just look where you were you're such a good big brother, and you didn't have to take her on like that. I mean, she's your step sibling, and she would really trust you. Like, you had that, way with her. When you were watching kind of her start to kind of have issues, I mean, it was around like 14, 15. How did that, or did it affect you? Or were you, I mean, because I look back, I was in such a mode of trying to help her that I don't know if I ever really checked in as much with you guys since you weren't living in the house. But did that affect you, and was that hard for you to watch her struggle?
I mean, totally. I didn't know at the time fully what was going on, but we went to the same high school. So, whatever situation she was going through, like, I mean, there was kind of one big plaza at the high school. So if something was going on, like, most people kind of knew about it, I guess, since it was a small school. So, hearing from other people like, "Hey, like, is your sister okay?" And things like that. Then I was like, oh, like, maybe things are not okay, and maybe I should check up on her, and maybe the family's not doing okay. So, I mean, it was pretty rough, especially when she had to go to a different school and then another schools, constantly having to be at different places.
Yeah.
But I think, in hindsight, like, everything,
Yeah, she's grown.
She's
grown a lot. I
Yeah.
remember probably one of my intense moments. Do you remember we took that trip to Nashville together to go to that country concert? And, your friend Jordy came and joined us. And I remember I was on the phone with one of the educational consultants, just trying to figure out a plan, what was going to happen, where we were going to go. And I remember walking into the hotel room. I'd been down in the business center on the phone, and you were like, "Are you okay?" And I just like lost it, like just started sobbing, crying. And it was one of those moments of like, don't cry in front of him. Don't cry, because I don't want him to think it's like, not that I wanted it to be perfect, but I just didn't want you to think like I'm not okay, and you and Jordy just sat there and like hugged me. And I remember that very vividly, and feeling like, okay, it's okay just to let him know, like, I'm not okay right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is
You don't
hard.
always need to put up a front with us.
That was did you see your dad and I, or even just me, like, going through it?
Yeah. I mean, I went to college, kind of when it all happened, but still, like, every time when I came back, and even that trip, like, things were hard, but I'm glad that we were able to connect on that trip. I felt like that was
so much fun. Still one of my most favorite memories.
Yeah, even it was like 48 hours. We were in Nashville.
Yes.
Got to go see some country music.
Yeah.
And I think that really brought us together.
Yeah.
So
how do you think your relationship with Haley has changed over the years? I mean, and kudos to your mom. I mean, she invited Haley over the other night for dinner. So she had dinner with you and Emily, so her step siblings, and then your mom's step kids, 2 daughters.
There was like 8 of us at the dinner table.
Yeah, and then my daughter comes and has dinner because we were out of town, and I appreciate that. And I even told your mom, I said it's good for her to be around family, and I don't know that Haley would have done that.
I mean, she had great manners and she was hugging everybody, talking to everybody. She was not shy at all. So, seeing that, and then from where she was coming from, like, when I met her, she was like playing with something on the floor, like at my dad's old place. Like, I still see her as like a little kid, but now she's a young adult and developed so much. Yeah.
She's so fortunate to have you and Emily, to look up to. And I have to be careful sometimes because I don't mean to compare, but I'll be like, well, see, Emily and Adin, they're like, but Mom, that's not me. I'm not them. And so I have to really be careful not to, and I know your dad can do that sometimes. Well, so-and-so's kids, they all went to medical school, I think that's a hard thing for us parents to do, but I know I've told you this before, but I mean, I don't know if Haley would be doing as well as she is now had it not been, even though you weren't physically there, she knew she could always call you. And she knows now. Yeah. Even when I said, oh, Aiden's going to be flying in from Boulder, he's going to be staying with you. You stayed here at the house with her this past weekend.
Excited.
Yeah. It's just nice. And even though sometimes she's in her room, it's like, but she feels safe. She knows you're here. She knows, her brother is here. So I know that was a really hard time. And I think when one kid struggles in the family, kind of all the attention kind of goes there. But that was a really, really rough time. And you would text me, how are you? And I always appreciate that. I'm like, what kid does that? What kid texts their stepmom to say, hey, I know things are hard right now. How are you? Like, where did that come from? Like, how do you know? I mean, did you see somebody? I mean, your mom is really good at this. Your grandmother, who I adore too. Yeah. Where do you think that comes from? Or is it just part of just your character?
I don't know. I mean, maybe my mom, maybe my dad, maybe my friends, but even if it's my stepmom, even if it's a distant family member, like if somebody's hurting, like just reach out, a text may do the trick.
Yeah.
And you always say like your biggest blessing from the whole marriage is like having an extra 2 set of kids.
Bonus kids.
I think having, 3 extra sisters, including Haley, like it's amazing. Like, I think that's like the coolest part about like this whole situation,
Yeah. And isn't it interesting to look, I mean, we're going to talk about divorce in a second. Isn't it interesting that we can actually see the positive, now, because one time it wasn't like that. But I always say that my biggest blessing, the best gift that Alon could have given me was 2 bonus kids. And I never had a boy. So, I kind of get my boy. Your mom shares you with me. You're going to make me emotional. So when you heard that your dad, you guys your mom and dad had been they were separated for a long time. This was not a quick divorce. When you heard that he was going to be introducing you to somebody, how did you feel? And don't sugarcoat it. It's okay. You didn't know me, so...
You see things on television of stepmoms, you want to villainize them and all these things. And I think it took a while to get adjusted, especially because, both sets of parents were having new people in their lives that weren't my original parents.
Yeah.
So
you're dealing with divorce, but you're also dealing with other people
with new people. But I mean, I was fortunate enough that my dad only introduced, one woman to us. So I think it would have been different if there was a lot of different people that were coming in, but
that's so true. I see a lot of parents do that.
He brought one girl in. He's like, okay, like this is the one, like you guys are going to love her. And I think having that perspective really changed it because a lot of my friends like be like, oh, like my dad has another girlfriend.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
But my dad was like, okay, like this is the one, like we're good. Get to know her. And I think that was a little bit easier of a transition, knowing that like my dad like really cared for you and that he wanted you to stick around. And that made us like feel more comfortable in the whole situation.
Was it hard? I mean, at that time, we used to call you like a little yenta because you would go and like, tell your mom everything. And we'd be like, oh Lord, I'd see a text from her. I'd be like, oh God, what did Adin tell her? I know you've always been super close to your mom, which is awesome. But do you think it was harder for you in the beginning because you were so close to your mom, or you were maybe protective of her. And I think it was different too. I think had I been the reason for the divorce, right, I think things would have looked very differently, but I think that was not the case. Do you think it was harder for you as a boy going through it?
Yeah, I mean, you want to be protective of your mom and your dad, and I mean, it was difficult. I think it took like at least a couple years for me to finally like come around to it. But are you saying in terms of like?
Well, just I think for a son who is so close to his mom, and then seeing like, wait a second, there's dad's bringing somebody else around. I think that would be very challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was so young that I don't even remember a lot of it, but now when I look back at it, I'm like, okay, my parents are so much happier where they are right now. Like they both found the love of their lives. They've been happily, together for almost 10 years now. So when I look at that, I'm like, you can't trade that. And even though things didn't work out originally, now I have more parents, more people to hang out with.
Yeah, you can have more appreciation for it. When you met me, do you remember where you first met me? Because I do.
Well, my first memory, I feel like I met Haley before I met you, honestly. But
really?
It was like at my dad's old apartment. And I just remember her, like my dad, you guys were like, oh, like go upstairs, like go hang out with your new
new friend,
your
new 9-year-old friend.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, okay,
No, we met before that.
That's my first, or was it at my grandma's house?
It was at your grandma's house.
Yes, I remember you came in in your scrubs on, and I'm like, because my dad honestly didn't even like say like my girlfriend, like, oh my gosh, there was none of that. So
he
like,
just said somebody's coming to
like,
dinner.
oh, like this is like my friend, like I'd like for you guys to meet her, and everybody else was so like warming and stuff. So I was like, okay, like
let's roll with it.
Let's roll with it. We'll see what happens.
Well, I before that, your dad had been wanting me to meet you guys, and I felt very strongly that I needed to talk to your mom before I did that. And your dad was like, why? Like, because if my ex-husband introduces my daughter to somebody without me even knowing, I would be so upset. And I knew like, okay, if she's saying, no, I'm not comfortable for 5 years, that's one thing. Right. But, and I think when you're going through something so difficult, you can hear things. And I thought, I just got to sit down with her. And Alon's like, you're going to sit down with my ex-wife? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we sat and talked, and she's like, my kids are going to love you. And that's when Alon was like, okay, can you like come to dinner, at my mom's now? And I was like, okay, but it was so scary. I was probably like peeing my pants the whole way there.
First impressions.
I was so scared. I was so scared because like you say, your dad is not like the most talkative. So it's not, that was like really, really frightening. What do you think has changed from that night at dinner, this little blonde nurse coming in, to now with me and you?
I mean, I think we're so much closer than that. Instead of viewing you as just someone that's going to lecture me or mentor me. I mean, obviously you mentor me so much, but like in terms of like raising me, like I think I originally thought like, oh, like is this person going to try to tell me what to do?
That wicked stepmother.
Yeah, exactly. But I think now that I've gotten older, like we can just have like our own relationship, person to person.
I think the country music thing, the Southern thing has
no one else likes country music, and for us to be able to go to shows together and hang out and drag my dad along, like
I think we're winning him over.
It's pretty cool.
We're winning him over. He took me to George Strait and Chris Stapleton. I was very
jealous I could not go.
I know. But to have that, I think that really, I think when our relationship started to shift, and you were getting older too, to where we could talk about, Haley, or, oh, do you know, Tim McGraw and George Strait. And so for us to be able to have that connection, I think that really bonded us. Even with the horse thing you're talking about with Haley, that probably with my thinking back with you coming to that family weekend with her, that to me was she was so proud. I mean, see, I get emotional thinking about it. She'd been doing so bad. And she was so excited that her stepbrother was coming because you were a barrel racer and you knew how to ride horses. She had already told everybody, like, my brother knows how to do all of this. And there wasn't very many times that I'd seen her with so much pride. And that's why sometimes I'll reach out to you like, hey, have you connected with her? Because I watched her beam with pride, and you really used that horse connection with her. And like you said earlier, sometimes a text or this or that can really make a difference. I really, truly believe you had a hand in saving her. I really believe that. She's come so far, but that trip with going to Utah and doing the horses together, all 4 of us, and then us dancing.
Yeah.
I'd never seen her dance before.
Yeah. And she was out there
never that loose
playing
before.
Just Dance.
All 4 of us were doing Just Dance.
Even my dad. Yeah. Even my dad.
I have some great content on that. I'm going to post those again. That would be awesome. But I feel like that's what's changed for me, with us. I think when someone loves your kid, it shifts. And I think that's why your mom and I overall have done, pretty good, considering, because she knows I love you guys. I'm not mistreating you. I'm going to love you like my own. I think that's like really,
I think at the place that she was at before, there's not a lot of contact with the outside world. So getting to talk to my sister, talk to me, there was not a lot of other people like, talking to her. So I think having that daily connection with her, even if it was just, hey, how are you? What are you doing? Like, it doesn't need to be, I think most of the time we didn't even talk about emotions or anything.
Yeah, nothing deep.
But I remember her counselor when I went to Utah, she's so excited that you're here.
Oh, she was so, and all the girls loved, it was all girls school. Everybody loved
they see the first
Adin.
man and then they're like,
who's that cute, tanned boy? Who is that? They're like, that's your brother? Oh yeah, she was Miss Popular that weekend.
Yeah, that was a fun weekend.
What do you think makes blending families especially hard for teens?
I think the worry of not, like, things not working. I mean, I look back at birthday parties and graduation, and it's like there shouldn't be difficulty, arranging those things. Like, just because the parents are fighting, like at the end of the day, like the parents should be there for those kinds of things. Like whatever's going on, I think that is the biggest thing. And honestly, I mean, you guys all did a great job of that. You guys all moved me into my dorm. Everybody was there for my sister's graduation, even the grandparents. Everybody was talking to each other.
Yeah.
So I think I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Not many people have that where the parents talk to each other, and even birthday parties we did all together.
Yeah.
But not having that, I think it would have been extremely difficult, because you don't want to have to worry about, okay, who's going to be doing the graduation dinner, who's going to be spending time with them on their birthday, and all those things.
Well, and having to split the time. Sometimes that's nice. I remember you saying, like, I get to do double vacations now. So I can't complain
about
that.
Yeah. I mean, we got Hanukkah, Christmas, all the holidays. So I mean, in that regard, it's nice. But
yeah, I wonder, because even us just even talking about Haley and you, like, I don't know that every step sibling would have engaged the way that you did, and Emily did as well. And I watched you guys do it with your stepsisters, also your other stepsisters. I grew up with a stepdad, and he's really the only one I knew, but I think there's this like fear of replacing the other parent, or maybe they're afraid of, I don't want, for example, like my mom to feel like I love this woman over her, or I look to her more, or this dad over that. I think teens somehow get in the middle of trying to protect the parent instead of the parents trying to protect their kids. Like you're saying with the parties or this or that we worry about our own feelings. Or I don't want to be in the room with him, or I don't want to do this with them because of this that happened with a mediation appointment, something like that, that you guys start getting protective of the parent.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. There's a lot of that because, everybody's talking to me specifically, like, hey, don't tell your mom this. Hey, don't tell your dad this. And things kind of get mixed in between. And then it's he said, she said, and it gets a little bit sticky. So definitely a hard time in that regard.
Would you say, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What made kind of blending the family harder for you? Would you say that?
Yeah. Cause I think my sister was like, she didn't want any part of it. Like she's like, I don't want to hear that. But I think for me, like I'm more open to hearing like different perspectives, and sometimes maybe to a fault. So that was challenging, because my dad would be like, okay, like don't say this. And my mom would be like, don't say this. And then, like you said, the text before, like, why am I getting a text from this person saying that Adin said this, and
then you're in the middle of
and
something.
then I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
So
and I think it's innocently. I don't think anybody purposefully means to put a parent against each other. They're trying to each give you their perspective, but
they just want you to understand. It's nothing like bad necessarily, but maybe stuff about the divorce or from their perspective. They just like, okay, like hear where I'm coming from, you know?
Did you know I had sat down with your mom before we met?
Not initially.
Not initially.
I think that came with time.
Later. Yeah.
But I mean, that's just so awesome. That's so awesome that you guys did that.
Well, I think she probably would have done the same. I mean, you would hope too. What do you think? Well, let me rephrase it. What do you remember when you heard we're getting a divorce? What do you remember feeling? You were 12 at the time, right?
Sitting on the couch, and I've already kind of known that things were going on. I think my sister did a good job of like protecting me from a lot. So I feel like I don't know a lot of what happened, but my dad was sleeping in the guest room for quite some time at that point. And I just thought my mom was like, oh, like he's sick. Like we can't sleep in the same bed together. I'm like, oh, like that makes sense, you know? Yeah. And then when he like finally moved out and like things were, you know, I was processing things. I'm like, oh wait, like he didn't have a kidney stone for, you know, a year. Like, like that's not
kidney stone for a year.
Yeah. Right? Like I remember he had a kidney stone at the time, and like, I'm like, yeah, like he's just sick. Like,
but
he
that's
can't
that
be
shielding, right? We got shield. In some ways you need to do that, you know.
No, I agree. But my sister did a very good job of like protecting me, because I think she heard, you know, a lot more in terms of the conversations that they were having and all of that. So I feel like I didn't really hear those things. And then when they sat us down for that conversation, like I didn't really process it at the time. I feel like I didn't really feel a certain way until
it's so foreign. I mean,
like you don't really I didn't really know what divorce was. I didn't know anybody that divorced prior to that. So I think when, you know, my dad moved out, I think that's when it was like, oh, like this is actually not going to happen.
Yeah, I remember your dad saying how when he moved out, that he had to make a conscious effort now to see you guys, right? Because he was kind of working all the time like he does now, but he'd come home and you're there, right? You have dinner, your kids are there. Now, if he doesn't make it happen or schedule it, it might not happen. You got school, you got this. And I remember that was later when he started taking the week off. You know, he was intentionally trying to at least get time with you guys or whatever. But I think that was like a really... I
did appreciate though, like when I was younger, he would, even if it was just picking me up from Boy Scouts or like my activities when I was younger, he would just drive me home and like, you know, even like it was even that small time, even though there was a lot that he was doing in a day, he would still make that effort of like, okay, let me just spend 15 minutes driving him from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wish your parents had known or done differently during that time besides just the talking through you?
Oh, I was going to say that.
Well, that might be the hardest thing. I mean, was there anything else that, you know, you think would have helped, you know, with you and Emily at the time? Or was that just the hardest thing?
That was the hardest thing. But I think having support of the other sisters, you know, like whenever I came over to your guys' house, like I'd have Haley. And then whenever I went to my mom's house, like there was just always a support system within the kids. So like we would always kind of just do our own thing if like something was happening. But I feel like the real struggle was the mediation. I think that in my journey, I feel like that was
until it was like, you know,
that was something that really affected
kind of
me.
Kind of final and done. And you're dealing with meeting new people on top of all of it, you know, 2 years into the divorce process, because it took about 3 years. So, I mean, you guys really went through a lot. Do you feel like divorce has changed the way you view relationships or trust?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would not be the person I am today without that whole thing. I mean, it happened when I was so young. I don't really remember life before the divorce. I feel like I kind of gained my consciousness like when that happened. But
I feel like you grew up a lot during that time.
Yeah.
You matured a lot.
But the main thing that I always will take away is always having honesty with your partner, you know, no matter if it's ugly. I remember you guys always say like the couples that, you know, are the most successful in terms of a good relationship are the ones that can figure stuff out even when things go bad.
Yeah. Your dad is not someone who necessarily he doesn't like, he's a conflict avoider. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a conflict avoider. I always say, I want to fight things out. Like I
Mm-hmm.
care enough to fight things out with you. And sometimes when you have an avoidant partner, it's hard to have those discussions, but
Yeah.
you fight through it. Like, okay, you're going to talk about this, with
Yeah.
me. Do you feel, a lack of trust in general? Like just when you view family or relationships?
Maybe a little bit.
Or maybe cautious.
I think lack of trust initially, but I think as I've explored like my own relationship, I realized like, okay, I'm my own person and like I don't need to have trust issues just because like my parents had their own relationship with each other. I don't need to like take that away from the relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it seems like listen, you and Emily both are studying for the MCAT and have desires to go to medical school. When I look at it, and again, I'm kind of in some ways a observer, but you've learned so many good things from, your parents. They gave you so many good things. Do you think that you would even be applying to medical school right now if you didn't have the parents you had?
No. I mean, they're both doctors, so they really, not that they instilled it on us, but I think the lifestyle and the reward that you get from it, not just financially, but intrinsically, like it's just so awesome.
Yeah.
And
to have two caregivers as parents, obviously there's something in them that wants to take care. And then you got a nurse for a stepmom.
Both kids ended up being
and your mom,
applying to,
and your stepdad is a doctor as well.
Stepdad, and then both my grandparents on my mom's side. So I think it's really in the blood.
I think it is in the blood. You're right. Wow. Are there things now that you understand about your parents that you didn't as a kid? Meaning maybe like their work ethic that you were saying. Like, is there stuff that you like, okay, this makes sense to me now?
You always want to paint a perfect picture of your parents when you're older or when you're younger. So once I kind of got rid of that notion of perfect parents, then you kind of start to realize that they make mistakes too. Once you realize that, it's like, okay, like we can work with each other now. I'm not going to get mad at you for some things that you do because we're all in this thing called life and we're all trying to figure it out, even though we're 50 or 30 years apart. Like you're
50 years apart. We almost say 50 years apart. 30, dear Lord.
30 years apart, even though we're 30 years apart, like we're all trying to figure it out.
Hey, we are not 30 years apart. How old are
you? I'm saying my dad.
Oh.
Not you.
Oh, that old man. Oh, okay.
Not you. Don't worry. Not you.
Do you think that you're going to wait longer to get married just because you feel I really want to make sure I get this right? Do you think some of those lessons may have come through or maybe get through medical school? We never know.
There's just so much to think about. In terms of the type of family that you want to marry into, religion, there's so many aspects of marriage. It's not just, okay, do you love that person?
Yeah. Right. There's so many more.
I want to make sure that I'm stable, like in my career, stable in myself in order to be there for somebody else. Cause you have to be good, like initially before you can be good to somebody else. So, I will probably be waiting. A while. There's no rush.
I know your dad's always like, just have fun. And when you're established.
There's really no rush.
Yeah. Well, I think you've learned definitely some valuable lessons. What would you say to a teen right now who just feels like they're stuck in the middle of their parents' divorce, especially with the holidays right now? It can get challenging because listen, we talk about how good things are right now. It was not always this way.
No.
There were moments to where your mom and I didn't speak, or your dad and your mom didn't speak, and I was kind of the mediator. Like, I don't want to give an impression. This was ugly at times, right? But what would you say to a teen who's feeling all of those things right now?
I would totally empathize with them. I've been in that situation, but if you can rely on other people to help lift you up, like my sister, it wasn't until a while that I realized she was going through the exact same thing, and we didn't connect on a deeper level until a little bit later. Because
do you think she's was more like your dad at that time, just kind of kept her emotions, or do you think she was just being more protective?
I think she was definitely being more protective of me, because I think she thought I didn't know what was going on, but I kind of knew what was going on. But once we merged minds, that's when things changed. So having a support system, if you have siblings, friends, grandparents, honestly, the grandparents, like that's where it was the most support.
Yeah.
And, you know, all the other family members, they're going through the same thing, the same agony. So having those conversations with them, and even, you know, growing up in LA, there's a lot of divorced families here. So also having a support system with them as well, with a lot of my friends growing up.
Would you suggest even, I mean, because I feel like you do this with your dad, or you did later, you were like sitting down with your dad and just
tell him how you feel,
telling how you felt.
Tell him how you feel.
I think kids, again, I think we get protective of our own parents and we don't want to talk about it because we don't want to upset them because they're already going through stuff. But I think the teens sitting down and saying, hey, like the way you guys are bickering and the way you guys are doing this is hurting me.
I had to do that at points.
Yeah.
And it's
with both
scary.
parents.
It's scary because, I mean, you think when you're younger, like they're in charge, but you're allowed to have a voice at a certain point too.
Yeah.
So
I think those are the conversations that really shifted your dad, just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily about that specific topic, but just you coming to him.
Yeah, if
and
your
just
kids
talking
are
to him about
unhappy and you're
anything.
like, okay, like my kids are coming up to me and saying that, like things must be wrong.
Yeah.
Things must need to change.
Well, and you even call him now about your test scores, you know, or this or that. And I think that really, you know, it stayed with you because you still call him and talk about random, you know, things now. Is there anything you wish someone had told you back then?
That you're allowed to have your own opinion about things. You don't have to side with anyone. No one needs to be a villain. Just love.
That's a good point. No one needs to be a villain.
You know, love people for who they are, and you don't need to get involved. It doesn't really concern you.
And there's always two sides. The truth is somewhere in the middle.
Always two sides of the story. Yeah. Always two sides.
You can be so convinced of one and then...
and it's just, it doesn't concern you, and it just paints a bad image of one parent or the other. So just making sure that, you know, just have a good time and don't think about things too much.
Yeah. If you could say one thing to parents going through divorce in teenagers, what would it be? I think I know, because I think we've hit on this 3 or 4 times.
I mean, kids know what's going on. Kids know what's going on.
And don't talk to them about their shit.
Don't talk to them about their stuff, because, you know, it takes a toll on us.
Yeah.
It takes a toll on us, and it takes a toll on our relationships and our ability to communicate with others on how we feel. Because if we're bottling, you know, everything up inside, we can't communicate to our friends, our loved ones, anybody about how we feel.
And I think it erodes trust with that parent. Like in the beginning, it seems like you're bonding with your kid by talking to them about what's going on, and even though it may throw the other parent under the bus a little, and in the end, it actually you know, turns on you, because then you're like, whoa, like you shouldn't be telling me that. Like at 12, it's one thing, right? But then you're at 20, you're like, wait a second, I shouldn't know these things. Yeah.
And even though there's like the best intentions, you know, and
absolutely,
like,
I mean, we've had those moments.
Yeah, best intentions are not always like right. You know?
I remember venting to you one time. I was so upset. You happened to come in at a moment, and I was crying, and I was so emotional about some stuff that had gone on. And then like the next day, you're like, hey, like I can't hear that stuff.
There's a certain line.
It was just too hard for me. So but I don't know many teenagers or even kids in their 20s that would have been comfortable enough to come to their step parent and say, hey, that was hard. Can you not do that? Yeah. And I think, you know, that really stuck with me. Then you're like, oh God, I'm the parent. I shouldn't, you know? So I've always been super grateful. All right, listeners, quick nurse to patient moment. If you have ever needed an MRI or CT scan, you know that waiting can feel like its own diagnosis. That's why I want to tell you about Advanced Imaging Center. Advanced Imaging Center has been serving the community since 1998. And with 4 locations in Lancaster, Palmdale, Valencia, and Ridgecrest, California, they make care easy to reach. They offer early morning appointments, evenings, and even weekend hours, because life doesn't wait, and neither should your health. They have everything under one roof. MRI, open MRI for those of you who get anxious like I do, CT scan, ultrasound, mammograms, x-rays, biopsies, even bone density tests, and nuclear medicine. They take insurances like PPO, HMO, Medi-Cal, workers' comp, and even offer discounted cash prices. So if you need imaging or someone you love does, visit aicscan.com or call 661-949-8111. Advanced Imaging Center, bringing clarity to the moments that matter. What should parents stop assuming their teens are fine about? That's our last question. Well, almost our last question.
I mean, quietness is not complacency.
Quietness doesn't mean okay.
Doesn't mean they're okay. Just because, they're smiling and passing, you pick them up from school and they, oh yeah, I had a good day, or things like that. I mean, most likely, if they're quiet, they're not their normal selves. Like, just check up on them. Even like we talked about before, like that text, you've just, how are you? Even if it's just a small conversation, it can go a long way. So just always checking up on the kids.
Yeah, I remember when even the family, when it was like, oh, should the kids go to therapy? And your dad, oh, they're fine. I'm like, you can't just, assume they're fine. And maybe looking back, maybe that would have been helpful, Yeah,
it wasn't even a consideration for me, honestly. Like, I was like, oh no, like I don't need therapy. Like I can do it on my own. But that's like, the man in me, like my dad and me. Like,
but now look, now here you are, evolved and more mature, going, you know what, maybe that would have been, a good idea. Yeah, I think we can't just assume, you kids are fine, and that the kids are not fine. It's hard. Hopefully you will strive to not have a divorce.
Fingers crossed.
It's not always Fingers crossed. Guaranteed. Last question.
All right.
Because I could do this all day with you. How do you think going through all of this has shaped you into the person you are today and who you're becoming?
I mean, first thing, like work ethic. I think there's a balance between like work ethic and also being present in the family that you've built. So, making sure that you're getting things done, that's very important to me. But then also being able to come home and spend time with others, even if it's like your friends. Not sacrificing
yourself so much.
Yeah, not sacrificing.
Family
it's so
time.
easy to just fall in love with something, fall in love with the work lifestyle. So personally for me, that is always on my mind of like, okay, like I want to become a doctor, but making sure that there's other things in my life that are also getting attention because
you want that balance.
It's not
you saw the extreme, right?
Yeah.
Although you do have that about you that your dad has, kind of the one extreme to another, but I also see you find that balance as well. You are a good mix of your mom and your dad, but you knowing what it was like having dad around all the time because he's building this empire, sounds like you want a little bit of both. You want to be able to have them both.
And it again with like the emotional side, like I probably wouldn't have been able to be as confronting as I am now. Having those emotional conversations are really important with anybody, with your friends, with your family.
I'm gonna tell you, Emily. I think Emily changed in that.
Yeah,
huge.
Yeah,
Emily didn't talk as much. She and I weren't necessarily as close in general, but even outside of that, she didn't really talk a lot about her feelings, at least to us or speak up. I remember your dad always saying she was always really shy when she was young. I'm like,
super
what?
Shy.
Emily
super
is
shy.
like boundary queen now, right? She is like, that's not going to work for
let's
me.
Sit down. Let's figure it out.
Or no, I can't do that because I've got this. Like I really admired how she's really evolved. I think even though divorce is obviously not, the best scenario, I really feel like you guys have really grown, so much, and you're going to be better partners, whether you get married or not, to, the people that you choose one day. And I can't wait to have grandbabies one day. No rush. No rush.
Give me like 10 years.
Well, take your time. Well, I am super grateful. I feel like we could have really gone even deeper, but we'll keep it there for now. We may need a part two.
We'll see. Thanks for having me. It was great to do this.
Thanks for and just thanks for always being just a good bonus son to me and a good bonus brother to Haley. And I look forward to all the fun holidays we have coming up.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for joining Call the Nurse. I'll see you next shift. Thanks for listening to Call the Nurse. I'm Mindie, navigating life one shift, one story, one breath at a time. If today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who just might need a little life support. Until next time, breathe deeply and heal gently, and I'll see you next shift.